and take responsibility for our Soufriere River. I am your host, Nadia Cazaubon, and every week we will be diving into the work being done for the Flowing Clean project by residents, organizations, and local leaders to clean, protect, restore, and to celebrate this vital part of our environment. This isn't just about the Soufriere River or about water. It is about us as a people. And I invite you to join us as we play our part in restoring our river. Every week, we will be inviting guests who are the heart of this project, and we will open the phone lines to hear from you at the end, the voices from the community, because the Soufriere River system, Soufriere and Sulphur City, belongs to every single one of us. So thank you for tuning in, and let us begin. Joining me today is none other than Mr. Giles Romulus, who is a senior program manager and the national coordinator for Jeff Small Grants program in St. Lucia. And we will be talking about how the Flowing Clean project got started, what it hopes to achieve, and how you can be a part of it. I invite Mr. Romulus. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Ms. Cazaubon, good morning from Castries, San Souci to be specific. And it's good that we can talk across the nation from the southwest to the northwest Castries. Hello to Soufriere. I hope you're all having sun like we're having in Castries, and the weather is fine. I'm delighted to have been invited to be on your show, and I look forward to the next 30 minutes of discussion.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, in Soufriere, it is sunny today. A very, very good day for us to start off our first episode of Flowing Clean. To give listeners a very brief description as to how this project got started, I work with an organization called Waterways. Our name used to be Caribbean Student Environmental Alliance, and we have switched over to Waterways. We have been doing work in St. Lucia and in Soufriere since 2004. And I joined Waterways in 2013, and we have started looking at water quality and water issues around St. Lucia and, of course, in Soufriere. I am from Soufriere after all. So for us, we got funding from Jeff, actually, Mr. Romulus's office, for us to conduct some studies or some research in the Soufriere River, and we first targeted the small community within the Soufriere watershed, a micro watershed of Wavin Clay. And we were very happy to see that Wavin Clay residents were able to articulate the importance of the river, why the river is important to them, and their desired vision to see the river clean to a point where they can start hosting river limes as they used to. They decried how the water levels have gone down, that before you would be able to fell a gourmet tree and it would go all the way down to Soufriere for it to be hewn out into a canoe, but the water levels have gone down, and it is to their detriment because they're not able to jump in and enjoy the basses that they used to have. But when we started doing work with them, they recognized the need for them to start monitoring what is happening. And it worked in Wavin Clay. And we are now doing this Flowing Clean project where we want all communities along the river, in all rivers in the Soufriere River system, to take ownership and stewardship of their river. So from that initiative in Wavin Clay, we applied back, we sent another application to Jeff for us to do a full project. And this full project is what we are doing right now. The goal of Flowing Clean is to develop and sustain a strong community pride in Soufriere as the basis for addressing pollution, and to complement it by establishing a system for the effective control and management of pollution in Soufriere. And I will tell you we're doing this in Soufriere, but I have had some ministers already approach me that they're interested in getting it done in their communities as well, because they also want to clean their rivers as well. This project, like I mentioned, is funded by Mr. Romulus, and we are going to be talking. So, Mr. Romulus, about your involvement in Flowing Clean, can you tell us, first of all, a little bit about Jeff Small Grants and its impact in St. Lucia and in Soufriere in particular?
Thank you, Nadia, for that. If you don't mind, I'll call you by your first name. You can call me Giles as well, no problem. The Just Small Grants program had its birth in Brazil in 1992. This program is in 125 countries all around the world, from the Democratic Republic of the Congo to Cuba, from China to Brazil, from Samoa to St. Lucia. So when you become a grantee within our program, you are joining a global community of projects implemented by UNDP and administered by the United Nations Office of Project Services. Initially, I was the sub-regional coordinator. I was based in Barbados for almost 10 years, where I run the program from Barbados, and it included the islands from the BVI down to Grenada. In around the end of around 2010 or so, the governments of the Caribbean desired to have independent country programs, and we transitioned a sub-regional program into separate country programs, separate autonomous country programs. Now, Soufriere is particularly important to us. Why? Because it has a World Heritage Site, and that falls on the UN Convention, the World Heritage Convention. It has a global marine park of international significance. It has endemic species of plants and animals, from the rainforest to the top of Gop Petit Piton. It has species in the coastal zone that we have not even discovered yet. So plants and animals. It has groups that are vibrant, like yours, Nadia, and it has a group like the Soufriere Regional Development Foundation and so on. So around 2015, 16 or so, we decided to change our approach to Soufriere and use what we call a landscape approach, meaning we are not going to just randomly fund projects, but fund projects that cumulatively over time could be transformative. And this is where we start to look at if we remember our high school geography, we started to look at the upper, the middle, and the lower stages of the river. Because essentially the Soufriere River is like the main artery for Soufriere. It's like the jugular vein artery for Soufriere. And all the tributaries can be considered veins. And we said, okay, let's start in the upper watershed. And that's where we worked with Forces Act Development Committee. And we're still working with them towards giving Soufriere its first agritourism park, and also working with farmers to reduce pollution, reduce soil erosion, etc. And then your project, if you remember, the Ravenclair was in the middle stages of the river. And that's where you did work on pollution and so on. And in the coastal zone, we worked with the SMMA. What the people of Soufriere might not know is that we started working, while I was based in Barbados, we received projects from the SMMA, and water quality monitoring started about 2008. And since then until now, there have been several instances where the water has been tested, and we have grown to worry. Every time we see the results, we are worried. And it is because of that worry, we said, let us go from just little small projects to a bigger size project that can really systematically and comprehensively address the issue of water quality. The people of Soufriere must know that they have a heritage that goes back to before the colonial period, and the solution historian H.H. Brin documents in Solution's first historical document how beautiful Soufriere was, how plentiful water there was in the Soufriere River, and how we should focus not only on quantity but quality of the water. And in that respect, we are hoping this project to be transformative, to tap into the patriotic feeling of Soufrians, and let us fully understand that a healthy Soufriere is a healthy St. Lucia. Let us also understand that the economic contribution of Soufriere to St. Lucia is significant beyond, and perhaps have never been really quantified. And therefore, this investment, this big investment of over $400,000, is to help Soufrierians, to help you to build a culture of management, of stewardship of this river. Go back to the days when the river quality is within the recreational standards, and therefore you have a coastal zone that is equally healthy. So it's basically focusing on the health of the people of Soufriere linked to the river and the significance of the river in the economy of Soufriere.
That's exactly right, Mr. Romulus. So I want to thank you, first of all, for your dedication and work with Just More Grants and how it has benefited us in Soufriere. And the project Mr. Romulus spoke about the first set of testing that happened in 2008, that was when I worked at the SMMA. And I would just like to let Soufrierians know that Mr. Romulus has a long and storied history with us in Soufriere. And he was actually one of the authors of the Charter for the Management of the Pitons. And that is why we now have the Pitons and Soufriere Kwalibu Center designated as a World Heritage Site. And that brings me to the very first component of our project, which is designing a charter for the management of the Soufriere River. And once again, Mr. Romulus is very instrumental in us getting that done, as he is the main author in designing that charter. What is a charter? And I would like to invite Mr. Romulus to speak a little bit about what the charter is, since he was very instrumental in crafting the charter and helping us get that first component of our project going.
Thank you, Nadia. And let me just say that the charter is a statement that reflects the situation in Soufriere and also mobilize the people of Soufriere to take action. It is a statement of commitment. It is a statement that is based on the existing situation, but also causes our Soufrierians to anticipate the future, that we want a cleaner river. We want not only more water in the river, but we want more quality water in the river. And therefore the charter is a statement of collective responsibility that we are calling on all Soufrierians, wherever you are in the diaspora, Soufrierians living in Cape State and those living in Buto and those living in Dennery, wherever you are, you can be in Russia, wherever you are, you can access this charter once it is launched for sign-in. We want to get, I think, what's the population of Soufriere, the last census, about 8,000 people?
8,000, yes, about 8,000.
Approximately 8,000 people. If we can get 8,000 people to sign on to this charter, it will be sending a powerful message to our decision makers. It is an opportunity for Soufrierians to take responsibility for their natural assets, because if this river quality continues to decline, watch it, in the next 10 years, we will have a deterioration in overall environmental quality, and that in itself will get back and start to affect our tourism industry. So you may think that natural assets have no connection to environmental sustainability or economic sustainability, but there is a strong link, and we're asking Soufrierians, observe that link, understand it, and let us pull ourselves together as one community, one nation, both within and from within and without. And that is why we have penned that charter. And I hope most persons have at least seen it online, read it, and are getting ready to sign.
Definitely. So the charter is available for anybody to view on our website, www.mywaterways.org. It is also on our Facebook page under the name Caribbean Student Environmental Alliance on My Waterways. And it's also on 88.5 and Soufriere Foundation's website and on their Facebook pages, as well as on Instagram. For us, the importance of the charter is for persons to recognize the value of the river to them, the value of the river to future generations, how we see the status of the Soufriere River in the next 5 to 10 years. And Mr. Romulus said it will take 10 years for this to impact. No, we are already seeing the impact of the bad state of our river on human health. It is not very apparent to persons, but through this project, we will be doing some more research, and we would be showing persons the quality of the water in our groundwater from some of our springs, in our tap water, in the river, as well as in the sea. For us, we would like as many persons as possible to sign that charter. And over the past 2 weeks, I have been going to communities and hosting community meetings, speaking to people within the community about the importance of the river to them, and hearing some of the older folks talk about going to the river every Saturday. That was the tradition, that was the custom, to bathe and wash clothes, spend the whole day, catch crayfish, cook, and then head back to their homes. We have lost the use of the rivers for our present generation, and we want to say that the time to take action is now, so that we can improve the water quality. I also wear another hat as the deputy chair of the district disaster committee for Soufriere. And during Thomas, or after Thomas, I saw persons using the Soufriere River, and that made me cringe because I knew then in 2010 what the water quality was. And persons had resorted to using the river because Wasco's lines were broken and interrupted. There was no water for a couple of weeks. And persons reverted back to using the river completely unaware of the condition or the quality of the water, putting their lives at risk. We do not want that to happen. God forbid we have another storm as bad as Thomas. And Thomas was not a category 4 or category 5 hurricane when it hit us. So can you imagine what would happen if we would have a category 5 like Maria and Erica in Dominica, or category 4 like Beryl hit us in St. Lucia? How bad it would be that persons would be forced to go back to using the river. So before that happens, we want to take action now for us to take steps to improve on the health of the river, improve on the water quality, and make it safe enough for us to go back to using it for recreation. And then when something happens, I wouldn't be so worried as to persons putting their lives at risk, their health at risk from using the river. So the charter is going to be launched in a couple of weeks. I have a meeting. We have formed a Soufriere River Systems Management Committee. We are meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, for us to plan the launching of the charter for persons to sign. And we would have a period of about a week or more, if necessary, to collect signatures, to have all those who are in agreement to us working towards changing and improving and restoring the river sign on. And the forms that will also be available online. So persons overseas would also be able to sign digitally to say that they agree to us managing the Soufriere River and trying to improve its water quality. So for you, Mr. Romulus, a very quick question. In terms of Jeff Small grants, we know that, or for the listening public, you all invest in projects that have a mandate to improve the environment. How does that benefit Jeff overall?
We are the funding agency for a number of international conventions. That includes Biodiversity Convention, the Climate Change Convention, Land Degradation Convention, and we have a number of what we call focal areas. These are biodiversity, climate change, both mitigation and adaptation, chemicals and waste, international waters, and so on. Your project fits within our international waters and also pollution and waste, because one of the activities my board was very strong on, you might recall that when we came back to you, we were told of the incidence of cancer in, and therefore we added an additional, I think, $80,000 or so to the grant. So a study will be done on the medical supervision to determine whether or not there's any correlation between the clusters of cancer cases in Soufriere and also the water quality as well. So you have a great responsibility there, because we really want the environment in Soufriere to improve. And we are not simply talking about the Soufriere River. We're talking about the Soufriere River system. That means the entire watershed connected by various tributaries, canals, and inputs of wastewater of all kinds. We need to really reflect on what the quality of water we are allowing to enter that river over time, and find ways and means to address the water quality. But not only that, the solid waste as well. The river cannot become the solid waste dump for our small micro communities and larger communities. We need to look into our collection system and how we get it out of the public domain for treatment, etc. So a lot of things have to be looked at. For example, used cooking oil and so on. How can we use that? How can we prevent our plastics, for example, entering the marine environment and affecting coastal species and so on? So this project is going to open up your eyes. Another important element in this project is the feasibility study on suitable a suitable, and listen to that, Soufriere, a suitable treatment facility for sewage. How can we work with other agencies, perhaps the French, in finding suitable, small, but treatment facilities that can treat the effluents from households and shops and so on, and allow the water quality to increase significantly and so on. We have well documented cases that that aspect of waste in Soufriere needs to be addressed. And we're hoping this project is going to do the feasibility study and also cost the appropriate systems for improving sewage management in Soufriere. So from the Jeff perspective, everything we do, we should do no harm to the environment. And therefore, we are hoping this project to really significantly improve the quality of the terrestrial and marine environment in Soufriere.
Definitely. So for us, we do have a very tall order before us, and we have to complete this project because the funding agency's grant ends with us December 2026. And we are calling on all Soufrierians to work very closely with us and efficiently so that we can get all our project activities completed. And Mr. Romulus just mentioned a couple of them. We basically have 9 main components, 9 main objectives. And the first one, of course, is the charter that we have gone through the communities. We have had consultations with various organizations, invited people, sent out the charter online. We were on the radio here for a couple sessions with Miss Cabrina Epifan on house guests. It was on the news. So we've had extensive dissemination of the charter. We are now at the point where we are preparing to finalize it and then launch it for signing. Once the charter is signed, we will be presenting that to the minister, the district representative, and the cabinet of ministers to let them know that all of Soufriere is behind us. Hopefully, we can get all of Soufriere behind us in getting this project done. The other components, as Mr. Romulus mentioned, we are going to be going through them in the different episodes of Flowing Clean on this radio program, and we will be talking about them in a lot more detail. But just to give you a brief rundown, like Mr. Romulus indicated, we are going to be addressing the waste streams into the Soufriere River. So we know that we have an issue with sewage from farms, from pig farms. We also have sewage from households entering the river. We have activities aimed at addressing some of those issues. And as Mr. Romulus indicated, for the household sewage, we are looking at the solutions that have already been proposed, bringing the right people to the right table for us to then put up concrete plans for us to address that issue. Then we are looking at the compostable materials that enter the Soufriere River when people dump the landscaping, the grass clippings, the tree branches, etc. We are going to be looking at a community composting facility for the Soufriere town. Biofuel, making biofuel from used cooking oil from houses and restaurants. We will be also offering communities who are interested micro grants, where we would have small grants of money available for communities to do a project that is going to improve the river or the ravine in their community, or a project to address pollution in their community. We want citizens to be monitoring. We want our residents to be monitoring what is happening and to adopt their section of the Soufriere River system. So we have a component called Adopt a River Soufriere, and we are already getting groups together. And if you, the listening public, you have a group, or you are part of a group, or you live in a community next to a river and you want to start monitoring your section of the Soufriere River, you can let me know. I will be giving out my number very shortly, 519-2425, but it will also be available on our social media pages. If you see me anywhere in town, feel free to stop me to have a chat about how you can join in on our project. And we have, as Mr. Romulus indicated, we are looking at the water quality of the springs, the river, the tap water, and the sea, but we will be also doing a cancer survey, and we are working very closely with some medical professionals to get that one done. In fact, I have a meeting this evening with that committee. Now is the time, I guess. We are going to open the lines. So if anybody is listening and wants to join in or has a question that they would like to ask, we would be open to your questions, your comments. You can also type your comments on the Facebook page if you're online, or you can call, and the number is 4597885. So whilst we wait for comments or any call-ins, and let me thank the DJ who is with me, one of my past students, Mr. Ulan. Um, while we are waiting, what memories do you have of using the river where you grew up, Mr. Romulus? I remember hearing you talk about bathing in the Martian River.
Yes, indeed. Um, I was brought up in George Charles Boulevard in Masha. Some people call George Charles Boulevard the capital of Masha, and so on. And I went to the Masha RC Combined School. And in the days I went to the Masha School in the 1960s, the area around Anchipo, there was no Anchipo in Independent City. All of that was forests and agroforestry trees owned by the Clavier family. And the water coming down from the hinterland there was quite clear. So there used to be basses in the back there where we used to, as young boys, go in there. We used to raid Mr. Clavier's land, during summer vacation, fat pork and ackee and all kind of cocoa and so on. And we used to bathe in the river. And when I tell people that, they say, what? Love your salsa?
Exactly.
But people don't recall that at one time we had very pristine rivers. And it is because of human activity, the quality of the water has declined, and also the quantity has declined, and so on. I think what Soufriere is getting is an opportunity to address the situation and do it as a community, as within a watershed, and try to improve that I think Soufriere is fortunate in that respect, that the funding is available, and there's a group like Caribbean Waterways, there's a committed individual like Nadia, there's SRDF, the people at SRDF are very supportive, the district is supportive, the opposition, I think, is also supportive. Nadia, I think you said you spoke with the opposition. Mr. What's his name again?
Mr. Stanislas, yes. And
yes,
he has given his full support.
This is apolitical. It is an issue that transcends political stripes. So we are all going to work with it. And I'm sure once you read the charter, you will see the intent, the purity of our intent in trying to be transformative in a period like now. And let us begin to understand that if we do not take care of our environment, no foreign donor, no foreign assistance will help us in that respect. The international geopolitical situation is telling us loud and clear, manger cause autres. Develop your capacity to feed yourself, develop your capacity for you to have pure drinking water. Do not contaminate your sources of water. Puis, si les autres pays, yo pourquoi yo? Nous ni pour forcer nous pour transformer manière nous travailler environment. And that is important. And Soufriere, we're starting in Soufriere, and hopefully other parts of St. Lucia will replicate what you all are doing in Soufriere. We'll learn from you all. And that is why the charter is so important. Because if we remember, it begins, nous, Jean Soufriere, we the people of Soufriere, descendants of Amerindians, Africans, Europeans, and Asians. All of that is a rallying statement. It's like a mission statement. It's like that will make you proud of where you came from, but also cause you to reflect on the negative impacts you've had on the environment.
Yeah, we had a meeting where we were putting the charter together, and the consensus was we need to start in our native language. So we all agreed on nous gens Soufriere. This is us Soufriere people, Sulphur City. We are taking responsibility for what is ours. We can improve it for ourselves, and the visitors who come will benefit thereafter. But we're doing it first and foremost for ourselves, because my grandmother told me about diving headfirst into a bassin behind the Soufriere Hospital. And that to me is foreign. Even as a child, I saw the Soufriere River deeper than what it is right now. I recall watching the Soufriere River rising where I was standing on the bridge where by the fire station, and you could still see the rocks on the bottom. The river was high, it was flooding, but the water was still clear. The opposite is the situation now. Once we have any little bit of rain, the river automatically starts running brown, full of sediment. We have destabilized our land so much that any little bit of rainfall right now causes the river to run brown, and that flows into the sea. It affects persons who are bathing, it affects the marine life, and we are suffering the effects of that right now, and we need to make a change. Um, Let me just, since we have nobody calling in and no comments right now, let me
Nobody
engage.
listening there. You think anybody's listening, Nadia? I'm beginning to get concerned. People are suffering
No,
and
no,
not
no, there are
calling.
lots of people online. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's hear them. Let's hear them call. As the multilateral donor, we like to help the community people get involved. We have, in fact, we've funded over 17 projects in Soufriere since 2012.
Ah,
Over
well.
four, yeah, quite a lot of money. In fact, we just launched the solarization project in
In,
Soufriere on Friday.
yes.
Uh, yes, where the fishers are going to have a pension scheme very soon, and the Prime Minister adopted our recommendation and has put $350,000 on the table for fishers.
Yeah, and I
So
was
we've done
so
quite a
pleased.
lot of
I was
work,
very happy to hear that.
and we are pleased to see the receptivity to ideas that are both transformational and so on. So I really would like to hear from the people of Soufriere what
Yeah,
they
I
are
know,
thinking
and I know
about
super
that.
people are not shy. So come on, folks, send us your comments, call in, ask any questions. If you want to know what it is that we'll be doing in your communities, you can call in and ask. Um, Tell us how you want to see the Soufriere River in the future. What you think we should be looking at. If there are any areas, you can call in and send us some messages. But with our DJ who is in station, what do you think about this project?
I kind of messed up because I was having I missed out. But of course, wonderful initiative, wonderful project. Just in regards to keeping the river clean. Another thing again, I think you made mention of feces and everything going down the stream. What about those who have the cattle being tied close to the rivers?
So the project is looking at and working closely with another projects from OECS. We on the previous Jeff project we did at Wavinkler, we installed 3 biogas digesters for 3 pig farmers in Soufriere, one in Zeno, one in Fonse Jacques proper, that's by Biggest Place, and one in Belfort. And what we have seen is that not only has it completely eliminated feces from those pig pens going into the river, but they're starting to make money from it. In Biggest case, for instance, the liquid that comes out of the digester after it has gone through the process of anaerobic digestion, they sell it to some farmers at like $20 a gallon. It's a very, very strong fertilizer that we have some farmers who sick that liquid out, that liquid fertilizer. And the guy who's cleaning the pen for Bigger, when I spoke to him a couple years ago, told me he has a waiting list of people because it's not producing in as fast as he can sell. So they're actually making money from pig waste. So the same can happen for persons who have cows, goats, any small ruminants. You can produce all biogas as well as the liquid fertilizer in the biogas digester.
That's the first time I heard of that. That's very nice. I didn't know that for sure.
Yeah. So next time you pass by Bigger, when last you went by Bigger, you're not
I
taking any smell there of any pigs anymore.
oh, yeah.
That's the other thing. No, people who are complaining about the smell, they're saying that the smell is not apparent anymore. It's only when they're cleaning the pens would you maybe get take a smell from the cleaning process. But persons are not complaining. Environmental health is not getting reports of complaining about Biggest Big Ben anymore. Any of the persons we have installed the pens for.
Good initiative. Very nice.
So we're trying to address through this project almost all the waste streams that enter the Soufriere River. The one that we were looking at that we didn't really do any activity in that project is dead animals.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. Do people still throw feces in there?
People still throw feces in the Soufriere River, unfortunately. There are a number of households, if you look at the latest census, that would have no toilet facilities at their homes. So we have pockets in Palmis, in Wingsville area, in New Development, in Fort Benye, in Upper Church Street, yes, Wingsville area, where persons do not have access to toilets at their homes. And every morning, unfortunately, we still have that same habit of persons throwing their night buckets into the river. So we have in the past, in the previous project together with SMMA, brought down some experts from France and from Germany who walked through the communities. We interviewed the residents and they came up with several options that can work and will work. We just needed the relevant authorities to take an interest in it and to seek funding or to put money towards that project for it to be done, and it never happened. So under this Flowing Clean project, we are hosting a symposium where we are bringing together the funding agencies, presenting the solutions to them, and inviting them to work with us and the foundation in identifying a solution, a site, and to put the money, help us in terms of the funding for us to actually get that done for some of those communities.
Right. I'm hoping at least we'll get a call before we end. Come on, people from Soufriere. Any word, any comment? Baila bon, ipa bon, di nou sou bon, si ipa bon, si sou kwe sa nou ni pou femen. You know.
Well, as a very
It's just
good
good to
show,
hear.
I think people are shying away from commenting, but
And not that too. At the time of day two, person are also different persons are while the show is very informative, various persons cannot participate because of the laws at work.
that's
But
true.
they're not
Well,
supposed
people are listening, I know for sure, at some of the businesses, and they won't be able to
get interactive.
to interact with us. But for those persons, especially those persons who are on vacation right now, you could definitely call in, or if you want, you can send me your messages after the show, and maybe I can bring it up on the next our very next show.
Our
But
children
for-
can call as well. How
Yeah.
about our children who are on vacation? You know, our secondary school, those who are about to go to South and so on. You know, it'd be really interesting to hear one or two comments before we close this program. It will be heartening to us as the donor, as the multilateral donor, to hear what Soufrierians are saying. And they may be listening, but we also want to hear from them as well, because I must tell you, this is a project that may well need a phase two. And then it will depend on the performance of phase one. So
you can ask
I
for
hope
people, we can get a phase two. So you don't have to start calling in and messaging us. You can message the phone. Like I said again, the number to call is 4597-885 and the cell phone 730-5388.
Aspect of the project we didn't mention, Nadia, was the review of the legislation associated with pollution and waste in St. Lucia. A consultant is supposed to look at the legislation and tell us where there are the weak points, and also bring in the police into the training. I think they're going to be doing the drone training with you next week.
Yes.
Already, and we are going to be monitoring that to see how the police, because policing is not only about criminal, you know, trying to abate or reduce crime and so on, but they are members of society. And to me, they are patriots as well in their rights. And we have to give them opportunity to learn about the environment and learn about those laws to enforce them and so on. I also think as well, one of the things we have to be careful with, we have an argument that represents a lot of the time that poor people, you know, should be allowed some measure of liberty in the way they interact with the environment. That is a powerful argument. But when you look at it on the face value, if you have 10 poor people who are flooding the river with dangerous chemicals, you know, and so on, hard metals and so on, do we allow them to continue to do that? This project is saying, no, let us intervene and interact with them, give them a micro grant to address the situation, come up with a solution and reduce and or eliminate the effluents going into the river. So this project is sensitive to those things as well. But once that is done, we cannot allow it to recommence.
Exactly.
We cannot take 5 steps forward and 10 steps backwards. This is not going to work. We want, and that is the purpose of the charter. The charter is saying we are going to move forward determinedly as Soufrierians, as solutions, and we are going to make transformative changes that sticks. The stickability of those strategies and transformations must be focused on. And Soufriere is the pearl of St. Lucia. Soufriere is our diamond. Soufriere is our platinum. Soufriere is that place where we have our World Heritage Site. So let's get together as a community, as dedicated to progress, but also dedicated to quality environment, the basis of the survival and our development.
For sure. I mean, I am from Soufriere, and I know at times that we would take what we have for granted, but I have started from very young as a very passionate person about the environment. I grew up bathing in the sea. My cousin and I would have races to see who could get to the sea, get to the, call it in front of the police station, and dive off the jetty first. I mean, he was coming from Soufriere Boys Primary, I was coming from Soufriere Girls Primary, and we would race to see who could get home and take a headshot off the jetty first. We are taking what we have for granted, and it's going to be too late before we take action. So we are saying the time to act is now. Like as DJ Fata is saying, too late. We don't want it to be that persons will be saying too late is their cry. We want to say we now have the opportunity before us for us to take action. Let us all jump in and work assiduously to getting our river quality up, improving it so that we can go back to enjoying the river without worrying about any health impacts. We have a comment from Kun. I'm not going to say where Kun is from, but she's saying a successful implementation of the project in Soufriere means that similar projects can be implemented in other communities in St. Lucia. And I wholeheartedly agree. She has already expressed that to me, and the same thing has been said by, in fact, I've had 2 ministers indicate their interest in us coming to their communities next. And like Mr. Romulus is saying, this might very well mean a phase 2 because we have so many persons from the donor side of it looking very closely at what it is that we're doing. And if it is going to work, and if it works, they will be more than happy to invest some more money for us to take this to other communities in Soufriere. So whilst we're focusing on Soufriere for this phase of Flowing Clean, if I can call it a phase, we want to ensure that our work can be replicated in other communities and that we can have a greater impact, not just on Soufriere, but on the wider St. Lucia as we go forward with all of our project activities. We are coming close to the end of our allotted. In fact, we have gone over our allotted 30 minutes. We still have some time. Yes, we've been talking and you don't even realize that 30 minutes have gone past. It's now 11:20. And we will give persons one last chance to call. Again, the number is 459-7885 or 730-5388. Or you can message us if you are watching us online. Once again, we are talking about Flowing Clean. I will be on air with you every Tuesday from 10:30. It's a half-hour program. And we will be bringing on various guests as we discuss the different stages of our project, the different activities that we have going on. Any final comments from you, Mr. Romulus, before we end our show?
Well, I don't know. The exciting thing about this project is the opportunity it will give for micro projects as well, for communities in Zeno and Palmis and Ravenclair and Itangs and all around, to sit down and do a reflection on how they are adversely affecting water quality in Soufriere, and then design a project for their locale, their community where they live. And some resources will be given. Of course, they have to account how it's spent, but we would want to see measurable changes when those projects are implemented. This is a wonderful opportunity for Soufrierians to get something that's, let's say, a common denominator, something that we can all share and work towards, something that we can all contribute to in a way that will benefit our people today and our people tomorrow. It's an opportunity for students to get involved. I would like to see perhaps a curriculum, part of our curriculum in our schools, designed with the river in mind, with the World Heritage Site in mind. And having worked for 10 years to get the Pitons on the World Heritage list, and having actually presented and defended the nomination in China in 2003, I have a vested interest as a solution, and also knowing that my grandmother is from Soufriere and Matitin, you know. By the way, Nadia, I still don't know Matitin, you know. I never saw a photo of hers. And also, I really hope somebody has a photo of Matitin to show me one of these days, because when I was born, I somehow never met my grandmother on my father's side. And there
Okay,
was
so
an uncle called,
Soufrierians, those of you listening, if you know who Mantitin is, let us help make Mr.
or was.
dream of at least seeing a picture of his grandmother. So if you know anybody, your
Yes.
grandparents who have some old pictures, ask them if they have any picture of Matitin for us to get a picture of Matitin to Mr. Romulus.
Oh, yeah, I'd be so delighted. And there was a person called Mr. Vernon. I understood he was my uncle, and I remember seeing him once. Never knew. He used to work in the copper manufacturers, and I understood he was a singer in the Catholic Church as well. But I have a vague recollection of seeing him once. You know. So here you have it. You see, I'm Soufrierian on my father's side, and so Zelian on my mother's side.
You have the links to our community, definitely.
Oh my, come on.
Of course. So maybe
Of
it's your grandmother's blood running through you that has you so passionate about working with us in Soufriere. So
Oh, yes.
thank you very much, Mr. Romulus. I guess thank you, Matitin, for your dedication and working with us to get this project off the ground, to see through from the planning phase to finally getting this contract signed. We launched our project on a very significant day, World Environment Day, on the 6th of June earlier this last month. So it's just just 1 month since the project has been officially launched. And like I mentioned, the project has to end on December 2026. And we do hope that we will be able to continue the project activities even after the funding has ended. So
I also want to make, just quickly, Nadia, I want to rally the people of Soufriere around you as well. Because you have, I don't know, you're climbing a mountain there that can be very slippery. If this project is to work, it's not possible. Nadia needs a support. She needs people who are going to see the benefit. The business community in Soufriere must understand what a project like that can do to the balance sheet. The hotels in Soufriere must understand what deteriorating water quality can do to the bottom line. The fishers must understand that. The people of Soufriere must understand that. Our schools, our children, our grandparents, and so on. Let us make this a rallying call around a common issue, and let us work together. And even the people in the diaspora as well, if you're listening, find out how you all can help. Sign that charter, and let's get for progress and community power working to transform the quality of the environment in Soufriere. So I really have great expectations for Soufriere. I would really like to see the transformation occur. And Nadia, I send my blessings to you and the team in Soufriere.
Okay, so Mr. Romulus, I was just told that the software is going to cut us off very, very shortly. So I need to say thank you very much for joining us on our very first show. Obviously, we have a lot more to talk about, and I will be back with you next week, Tuesday. Like I mentioned, every Tuesday, 10:30, we'll be running Flowing Clean until our project closes, and maybe even beyond that. So thank you very much, Soufriere, for joining us.
Bye.